Hello, it's the eponymous Amy from Amy Likes Keyboards, and welcome to a new series, a crash course in mechanical keyboards. This series will cover the many aspects of mechanical keyboards and will hopefully be helpful to those starting out. This first video will be a brief overview and will cover why you would want a mechanical keyboard, different types of mechanical keyboards, so pre-builts, customs, and vintage keyboards, and the different mechanical keyboard layouts and sizes. Like the name suggests, mechanical keyboards use a physical mechanism for registering key presses as opposed to using the flexibility and squishiness of a membrane. I think this is best illustrated by this short animation from Cherry MX. As you can see, in a mechanical keyboard switch, the legs of the stem prevents the contact leaf from completing the circuit, and the pushing of the stem results in contact being made, leading to a registered key press. So why would you get a mechanical keyboard over a membrane one? I personally think that the main reason for getting a mechanical keyboard is the feel and sound. The feel and sound of a mechanical keyboard is vastly different from a membrane one and can make typing much more enjoyable for some people. Other benefits include the prevalence of N-key rollover, which means that all the keys can be pressed at once, which may be important for some gamers, and the supposed durability over membrane keyboards. Pre-builts are keyboards which come pre-assembled, and you can usually just go into a store and buy one. The advantages of a pre-built are the fact that they come pre-assembled, are usually much cheaper as they are mass-produced, and are easy to find. However, the disadvantages of a pre-built include the little variety in terms of layout and aesthetics available compared to customs, the generally lower quality materials used and worse sound, limited switch selection, and the amount of effort required to modify anything but the keycaps. Hot swap pre-builts are also becoming more and more common. They are a great choice for those starting out and would like to experiment to find out what kind of switch they like before going full custom. However, do be aware that there are two types of hot swap sockets generally used in pre-builts: KO hot swap sockets and Altemu hot swap sockets. Altemu hot swap sockets will only fit Altemu switches, which have narrower pins. So if you're looking for a hot swap board, make sure that it uses KO hot swap sockets. For pre-build suggestions, I recommend the website mechmap.tech. There will be a link in the description to that. Custom keyboards are keyboards which come as separate parts which you will have to assemble yourself. The custom keyboard community has grown immensely, and you can check out some examples at R Mechanical Keyboards and R Custom Keyboards, which features more high-end keyboards, as well as Geek Hack. They can get very expensive compared to pre-builds, ranging from around $150 to $1,000 or even more aftermarket. The advantage of a custom is the fact that they are, well, custom. This means that they can look and sound however you want them to, and you can use any kind of switch you want to with them. Because of all this customizability and wider range of options when it comes to materials and designs, customs tend to sound and feel better than pre-builds. The disadvantages of custom keyboards, however, include the extremely high price tag, which may be hard to justify, and the fact that you have to build it yourself. But some might see that last point as an advantage rather than a disadvantage. I would like to note that I have never used a vintage keyboard myself and thus am not very knowledgeable, so this section will be very brief. For more information about vintage keyboards, I recommend checking out Kairosan22 and Desk Authority. Some popular vintage keyboards in the community include the IBM Model M, Model F, and variants of that, Apple Extended Keyboard, and OG Cherry keyboards. These vintage keyboards usually need to be restored. Many can be bought from sites like eBay, found at garage sales, or even at e-waste collection centers. Most vintage keyboards also use different switches than the MX-style switches used in modern mechanical keyboards, such as ALP switches, which many consider to be superior to MX switches, IBM buckling springs, and many more. The advantages of a vintage keyboard include their unique look and their different key switch types, which may not be compatible with modern keyboards, and the fact that they can sometimes be found for very cheap. However, they will oftentimes need to be cleaned up and restored. They also generally require adapters and/or modification before they can be used with modern hardware. There are two main types of keyboard layout: ANSI and ISO. The layout you use will typically depend on your country. ANSI is much more prevalent than ISO, and it will be easier to find ANSI keyboards and ANSI compatible keycaps. There are also different key arrangements such as staggered, ortholinear, and columnar. Ortholinear and columnar key arrangements are usually present in ergonomic keyboards. Mechanical keyboards come in different sizes. You have your regular keyboard size with the number pad, which is 100%, the compact version of this, which is a 96%, your regular keyboard without the number pad, which is a TKL or 80%, a TKL but squished together, which is a 75%, the 75% without the function keys, which is a 65%, the TKL without arrow keys, navigation cluster, or function keys, which is a 60%, and anything smaller than that can still be typed on, usually a 60% without the number row and with fewer columns is a 40%. Finally, as a precursor to upcoming parts of this series, here are the components of a mechanical keyboard: the keycaps, switches, stabilizers, plate, PCB, and case. I will go over each of these components in more detail in upcoming videos in the series. The next video will be on switches and stabilizers. I'll see you then.